Stuff you didn't know? You needed. In 2011, authorities in Japan entered a small apartment after the electricity was cut off. The rent hadn't been paid. No one had heard from the tenant in weeks. Inside, they found piles of trash, old furniture, and a strange, heavy smell. On the futon, under a thick blanket, was a skeleton. But this wasn't a crime scene. Not in the way they expected. Hours later, the woman who lived there walked into the police station. Calm, quiet, she looked at the photos and said, "That's my husband. He died 10 years ago," she explained. In his sleep, and she couldn't let him go. So she stayed with him. She cleaned around his body, talked to him, slept beside him every night. For a decade, the neighbors, they thought she lived alone. The police, shocked, but not angry. She wasn't hiding a murder. She was trapped in grief. Psychologists later described her case as a rare form of prolonged bereavement. And she was never charged with a crime. Her story became a national headline in Japan, not because of what she did, but because she lived like that, and no one noticed. In May 2010, a man named Laszlo Hanage made internet history. He was one of the early users of Bitcoin, and wanted to prove it could be used like real money. So he posted online, "I'll give 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas." A guy responded, ordered him 2 large pizzas from Papa John's. Laszlo sent the Bitcoin. Deal done. At the time, 10,000 BTC were worth around $41 USD. Today, that same amount of Bitcoin is worth over $200 million. And the pizzas? They were pepperoni, no gold, no diamonds, just cheese and regret. Laszlo says he doesn't regret it, but the internet never forgot. Every year on May 22nd, people celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day to honor the most expensive snack in history. The woman in the cupboard. She lived in his kitchen. For months. In 2008, a man in Japan noticed something strange. Food was going missing from his fridge. Nothing else. No money, no electronics, just food. He thought he was losing his mind. So he set up a hidden camera in his apartment. The next morning, he watched the footage. What he saw was terrifying. A woman, climbing out of a tiny cabinet above the kitchen, quietly walking around, eating, then crawling back into the cupboard to hide. Police were called. They found a 58-year-old woman, who had been living there secretly for almost a year. She had a blanket, a plastic water bottle, a pillow. The man had never met her. She said she was homeless, and just needed a safe, warm place to sleep. He never noticed a thing, until the camera blinked red. The doll blinked, but had no batteries. In 2013, a family in northern Mexico donated an old porcelain doll to a local museum. It had been in their attic for years. But lately, it started doing something strange. When someone walked by, it blinked. Not random, not like a loose eyelid. It responded to movement. The museum staff thought it was just sticky mechanics, until they opened it. No wires, no gears, no battery compartment, just porcelain, paint, and a faint smell of burned fabric. Since then, the doll has been kept in a glass case. Visitors report seeing its eyes follow them. Some say it blinked, even after they walked away. The doll has never been explained, but it's still on display, and still watching.